Like the sands of time, we return. Actually, I don't know if that works or not. I mean,
like sands through the hourglass. So
yeah, I was going to do
the
something like that,
stars.
but welcome everyone back to the VH. I'm really struggling here. Why don't we just?
Nobody's ever going to see this.
Welcome back to the VHS Vault, everyone. I am VHS Chase, and next to me is the great Jason Roy Gaston. And tonight, folks, we're doing a viewer recommendation in a weird way, aren't we?
Well, it was you made a comment. He made the comment, not me, that a certain motion picture was not good. To which one of our Patreons in the comments clutched his pearls and said, "How dare you!" And so we decided to do the right thing and make that movie the next on the VHS Vault. And so, Jace, tell them what movie it is.
Well, if you can't tell with the background image that Jason's currently got, we're going all the way back to 1994 for a little movie called Stargate.
So, yeah. Stargate 411.2.
Well, yes. I look, you're old enough and I'm old enough to think that this movie would have been right in our wheelhouse at time of release, right? Science fiction film. We're both into science fiction. It looked like something different. Trailers were good for this thing. Yeah, like I was kind of looking forward to seeing this.
I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
It was actually, I think that it came out the summer after I graduated high school. And I saw the trailers of this movie. I was instantly interested, and I went to go see it. And as memory serves, I thought it was a pretty good movie. So that's why whenever you said you didn't like it, my response was, "What?"
Yeah. You're thinking Australians, they got crazy.
Has time changed my opinion, though? I don't know.
Well, the thing is, like before we get right into it, I'm going to defend a couple of things about the film because I'm the one who accused it not being a good film. Three things I think in this film really work. I love the visuals. I got to say, the design of the Stargate, the design of that pyramid ship, which I absolutely love, reminds me of those old sci-fi novel covers that you would see in old secondhand bookstores. I love the visual design of the movie. I thought whoever did the drawings and build all the suits and that, pretty great. The soundtrack, I'd forgotten about the music of this film. Done by a composer called David Arnold, and it was his first ever American film that he did, because the hook is a very strong hook in that movie. Like that main little theme that they have. So I'll give it a tick there. And I think the best thing about the movie was it finished. That was the three things.
Okay, so as I said, the first time that I saw this movie, I rather liked it. I thought it was really fresh, and I thought, the cast was charming. It was an interesting idea. And this is probably the first time that I've watched the Stargate movie in a very, very long time. And I have to say, I did not enjoy this rewatch. Because my brain was trying to inject way too much logic into this movie, and I came away with the inescapable conclusion that this movie's dumb as hell, and not in a good way. Like, this movie's plot could have been solved by the U.S. government's army without even leaving the planet.
It is one of the simplest plots out there. But everything about this is simple. I think after rewatching it, Jace, the only reason I think people like this film is based on the concept, because the execution is pretty bad. Like the whole concept of a Stargate, like the whole idea of that is fantastic. Good enough to launch two very successful sci-fi shows, right? And keep them going for years. So it's a great concept. Guess what they do? It was dumb. It's just so full of cliches.
I knew that this movie was in trouble from the very beginning. I will say, the first 30 minutes of this movie. Really good. I liked the mystery. I liked the tone of the movie. I liked everything. The scientist coming in and being given all these breadcrumbs and finding his way through. The moment, though, that they introduced the Stargate and he solved what the final symbol is, and they're like, yes, we've been trying to open up the Stargate for years, but we just didn't know what the last symbol was in this combination. This is as far as we've gotten, but now we can open it because of your signal. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's like 12 symbols on this entire donut. Why did they need to know I mean, come on. It's like, just try it 12 times. You wouldn't even,
How many
yeah, how many
combinations?
different
Yeah.
combinations could there be? It just doesn't make any sense, and that's like the first of many gaffes in this movie that, and I can suspend disbelief. I really can.
Yeah.
But as you said, this movie is so cliched and paint by numbers. It's a great concept that you hang the most predictable scenes on, the most pedantic dialogue, the most uninvested actors. James Spader is a terrific actor, and I honestly feel like he wasn't even there for this movie. He was just mumbling.
He was totally
I don't
miscast.
think he was miscast. I just honestly don't think he
I
cared.
do. Here's the problem with James Spader, as far as I'm concerned. He is one of the most intense, talented actors of all time. But he does not fit that archetype of the lovable, like bumbling scientist who's really the hero. He's trying to play like a Michael J. Fox type of person. But guess what he's got? And he can't deny it. He got the creepy eyes. So every time he looks genuine, especially with the girl in this, he looks predatory. It's not his fault. It's
No,
just the
you're
way
not
it
wrong.
is, you know?
He does
And
kind of have a face that looks like it should be on America's Most Wanted in a story about missing children. And I don't mean that as I don't mean that
but
as a
he's
slight against
amazing
James
though.
Spader. I'm talking about his
Yeah.
intensity as an actor. I mean, come on, this is Ultron, who is, in my opinion, still the best Marvel villain. Fight me, I don't care what you say. And we're not even going to debate it. No, this is a Stargate review. But
No, we
yeah,
won't go there. Won't go there.
he's just
Yep.
not right in this role at all. And it's not that I didn't believe him as a scientist. It's just I didn't believe him as Daniel Jackson. And I think that was one thing that
Ah,
Stargate SG-1 did that I think elevated that role, was that they gave the
mm.
part to somebody else, somebody who it fit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think but it's everybody, the stereotypes on this borderline of being racist at some points, especially when you get to the indigenous people. Some of the cliches and archetypes there are not good. Um, but even the
No.
American parts are so stereotypical, from Kurt Russell role, who's basically playing the same character from that god awful soldier movie that he made. It feels like the same character. And,
Ah,
he's just playing a really a one note thing, an absolute waste there. Um, but just to me, the whole idea, the whole purpose to go over there is flawed. Everything about this is flawed. Um,
yes.
and I'm just going to say it, to me, the whole thing is, so we basically meet God because he says, I made your civilization. So Ra's God. All right.
Yes, sure. Why not?
But make him the villain. So how, as an
Yep.
audience member, how am I supposed to? You want me to root for killing God? Like, and I'm not a religious guy, but I'm like, I don't know how much buy-in you can get from people. You're going to go, yeah, kill God. So they kill God in this movie.
I don't know. I really never thought of it that way, and to be honest, I still don't. To me, it's just he's just another alien who's out there kidnapping people and probing them and dropping them back off on
Yeah,
Earth.
but
I
I'm
mean,
not
come on,
wrong
he
because he
yeah,
is
and I'm
God.
not saying you're wrong. It's
Yeah,
just I don't think of it that way.
yeah,
You
no.
just have an opinion. That's all you got. I never really I thought of Raw as basically like those Roman toga guys from Star Trek who are like, yes, we are actually advanced aliens, but we were worshipped by the people of your planet. I kind of think of it in the same way, except a lot more malevolent. Jay Davidson, I don't know how to feel about this guy.
Yeah,
He was in this movie and he was in The Crying Game, and honestly, I thought he was pretty good in this movie. I thought he gave off
no.
enough. No, no, no. Let me talk. Let me talk. I thought he gave off enough like quiet. Um, what is the word I'm looking for? Vindictiveness and maliciousness to where he was one of those villains who basically has more going on
Mm,
than anything else. Now, written badly, yes.
mm.
Written horribly. But Jay Davidson I thought was interesting.
Well,
I'm not saying he was great. I'm just saying he's interesting and I think it was I don't know. I did not hate him in this role.
look,
I honestly I
he's a
think this was
fine
really the
actor.
last role that he ever did. Yeah,
He's
I
a
mean,
fine
for as
actor.
little as he did, sure.
Yeah, The Crying Game was a fantastic movie. No one's ever
It
seen it.
is, yes. I
It's
didn't
one of
know.
the
Whenever I saw the movie, I
no,
didn't
no,
know.
neither did I.
It's
Neither
like,
did I.
"Whoa, where did that come
Yeah,
from?"
yeah. Um, but honestly, the whole time I watched him, I just wanted to ground him. I wanted to take away his cell phone, tell him he can't go and see his friends for a couple of weeks because he acted like just a little cocky teenager in it. That's how he came off, you know? And Jason, like, can you mention, because we're talking about him, and you mentioned it in a text, so I don't want to spoil, but what happens at the end of this movie, not just to him, but
Okay.
to
Okay, so, this is a bit of an uncomfortable subject, I think, and there's a lot of ick to it, I believe. But Raw has an entourage of children who are like one piece of fabric away from being CP, in my opinion.
yeah.
And yeah, they basically like crowd around him anytime somebody's gonna kill him, so that nobody wants to shoot through children. Which, you know, again, if you're a soldier, you're gonna shoot through children. I don't care who you are.
Mm.
But at the end of the movie, they beam the nuclear warhead to Ra's ship, and you have this great, which I think is actually a really good sequence with all that music, bombastic, like,
Uh,
oh, oh, and like Ra and his spaceship explodes in an explosion that rips off Star Trek Six: The Undiscovered Country.
I
It was
think I
basically
literally
Roland
stole
Emmerich
the
saw
effect.
Star Trek Six and was like, I want that. But here's the thing that nobody ever talks about. Kurt Russell and James Spader murdered all those children
Yep.
because they were still on the spaceship. They, after that whole thing about I can't shoot through children,
Uh,
oh what a terrible thing. They just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just beam this up to him and let it blow up? I just like to think that it's kind of like a Home Alone moment. That after Kurt Russell gets home and is telling all the generals, like, yes, you see, Daniel Jackson and I, we blew up Raw, and Kevin, one of those things.
it's like, look, yeah, it's one of those things. If you don't think about it, like you wouldn't even click. But as soon as you mention it, I was laughing. And
I
I gotta
can't help
say,
thinking about those things.
one of
Honestly, I wanted to see a scene. I just thought it would have been like the darkest thing to have a scene where like one of the kids walks up to the bomb and like touches it and like it's warm. Boom. They
I think,
almost had that. They actually filmed that scene, but they had a scene in Star Trek 2 where the Genesis device is on the
uh,
platform. They had a scene where like this little toddler walks up to it and is like, ah, and he's like, that kid's gonna die.
I was gonna say, I just thought actually it was probably one of the best moments between Spader and Kurt Russell. It was the one time that they made a cliche work, where they only have seconds to go and they have the solution. But they have it at the
Yeah,
same time. And I did laugh at that moment when they go, I've got an idea. And they both like say it at the same time. But
I the ending of this movie is really good. I gotta say,
I
between the
love
part
that
where
ship though.
they're fighting the
Mm,
eagle dude and like give my regards to King Tut, asshole, and that part
mm,
right there and all that, it's cliched, yeah, but you know what? It's a lot of fun.
yeah.
I'm gonna give this movie that. The ending is a lot of fun, child murder and all.
Yeah, well, and that's probably a compliment you can give you because if you're having fun at that point, somehow has redeemed itself because honestly, by about an hour long into it, for me, the moment they walk through the Stargate until the end of the movie, it just feels like exposition, tiny little bit of action, exposition, tiny little rinse and repeat for an hour. And I'm fatigued by that point. I don't care that he falls in love with a native girl. That made me cringe every second of the idea of it. It was bad idea from the start. Um, I actually didn't mind the idea of, they didn't develop it well, but the idea of Kurt Russell, who unfortunately lost his son, like finding a way through that by connecting with some of the young people and giving them guidance. I
Then
like the
murdering all the
idea of
children
it.
at the end.
Yeah, yeah. I like the idea of it, all right, but they just did it horribly.
I did like that one scene where he's gonna blow Raw away with the weird staff that is like the most impractical weapon of all time, and all those kids like crowd around him, and Kurt Russell can't bring himself to do it. I thought that was really good,
Yeah.
and I thought that that really fit his character.
Well, how about some of the co-stars in this? Did we not notice the star of Inspector Gadget 2 in this
I
movie?
know French Stewart
French
from
Stewart.
Third Rock of the from the Sun.
Yeah.
And he's unrecognizable too. I'm just like, that is not French Stewart. And then he walks by and goes, I told you to get us home. I was like, oh my God, that is French Stewart.
But besides that, to me, he proved he was a good actor in this movie, because that was a
Yes,
side
most
of
definitely.
him I hadn't seen. Playing, the soldier. He's got to carry himself a certain way. He's got to be serious. He's got to be, and he pulled it off really well. So bravo to French Stewart for.
Yeah, it kind of makes me sad he didn't have more dramatic roles, because he definitely, I mean, I think I'm one of those people. I think comedy is hard and dying is easy. So I think that the dramatic roles are a lot easier than comedy roles.
Yeah.
And to see French Stewart is able to do both, I wish we could have seen him in more dramatic roles. French, you're still around. Come on, man.
I think he
dramatic
got
stuff.
caught in the Kramer syndrome. You know what I mean? Almost all like the Dwight, syndrome, where you're that really hilarious side character. Like you're the shining star of that series. And then, you kind of get stuck into that, That's why he ended up doing features like Inspector Gadget 2, because no one would cast him in anything else, which is
whatever pays the bills.
I don't hate those movies.
I'm not going to look down on him for getting a job at all.
I don't hate the movie either.
He shows up for every role I've ever seen him in. He shows up, and that's a lot more than what some other actors do.
And look, he is unbelievable in Third Rock from the Sun. But anyway, moving away from Mr. Stewart, his other main soldier guy, I've seen that guy many a time, and I can't pick it. Stripes, was he not playing the really dumb guy in Stripes?
I've actually never seen Stripes.
Oh wow, that's got to go on the list. It's got to go on the list.
I know.
Anyway, it's just so boring.
There's another big name actor today that we have failed to talk about, and that is a guy who seems to have been typecast as the sidekick to evil outer space dictators, and that's Jaimin Hansu.
Oh yeah,
Jaimin Hansu, one of Ra's guards, also
one of his early
oh my gosh,
roles.
and then he played that one dude in Captain Marvel, and then he played that same dude in
he's struggling that
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I read an article recently. He's really struggling financially.
Oh, that's a shame. I always liked him.
And I think it's that illusion. We all think because they're actors in a movie, everyone gets super rich. Those days are well gone. They don't. They make a living, but they got to work their butts off.
Thank you, streaming. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, streaming.
The shorter television series and seasons are like way better. Thank you. We really enjoy those. And only 5 seasons for shows that we love. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Yeah, we grew up in a world with 22 episodes a year. You would expect it. And you cut that half, or we only get a third of them now for a series.
Yeah.
You
remember when 5 seasons used to give you 100 episodes?
Yeah.
We could have had 100 episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks.
And if a show did okay, it would always get 5 seasons, because once they got 100 episodes, syndication, right?
Yeah.
So, different time.
I hate this different time.
Yeah. Is the big problem with this movie the whole desert sequence and how they handle the culture that they come across? Because to me, that is so bad. It's handled so poorly, so cliched, that I think it's the death of this movie.
I have to agree. I think that the moment that they step out of the Stargate on the alien world to the moment that they storm the Ra's pyramid, everything in the middle of this movie is just dreadful. everything. This is like a poop sandwich. You've got some really delicious bread, you've got the middle, and then you've got the other slice of bread at the
Yeah.
bottom. The bread is the only enjoyable part. The rest of it, I could honestly basically skip the middle of this movie and know what's going on at the end
Oh, yeah.
because it is just that predictable. Not to mention, as I said earlier, if the government wanted to make sure that the other Stargate was never used, why? And it shows them getting signal from the rover on the other side of the Stargate at one point because they send back pictures of everything. Why not just strap a bomb to one of the rovers and send it through and have it blow up like on a timer? That would take out this. You wouldn't need a nuclear bomb, just a bomb to blow it up, and boom, problem solved. We don't have to go there. You know, James Spader doesn't have to lie. Yeah, I can get us back. We don't have to have that. Which, incidentally, David Spade too. David Spader needs to have his butt kicked
Uh-huh.
for that whole thing about I thought I could get us home, but it turns out that I can't.
It's another edition of dumb.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I didn't understand this the first time I watched it. I didn't understand it the second time I watched it on video way back in the 90s, and I didn't understand it this way. How did he get the last symbol?
Well, he woke up.
How did that?
Remember, he woke up in the morning and the fire's gone out, and that kid is drawing the symbol as a sign of this is us battling.
So how does he? Why was that the symbol?
I don't know. And then he went up to it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's the symbol. You know,
Because
if
we're
I drew a
going
picture
home.
of you, that's you. You're the stick figure with the silly hair and the glasses, and the mean one with the frown. That's Kurt Russell. That's the symbol for Earth. Oh my god, I don't get it.
No,
I feel like there was a scene cut,
probably
and the scene is like important, but Roland Emmerich's like, nah, we need more explosions. Get rid of that.
Like you'd believe him anyway, right? Well, like you'd believe Spader anyway. We're going home. All right. And the fact, even more insulting, there are a lot of insulting things in this movie. And one of them is the soldiers thanking him at the end.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting me home.
Yeah.
I would just be death staring him the whole way.
I know.
Thanks
they should
for
have like checked him as he walked by. It's like, boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to know where else I want to go? Bangkok. Pow.
Okay. Here's another insulting thing. Why just not destroy the Stargate from the Earth side if you don't want anything to come? It's a door, right? It's two ways.
Yeah.
If you're planning to shut it down, you just unplug everything, right? And bury it.
Yeah, you don't need a bomb. Just get like a power jet just to cut it into 4 different pieces and send all 4 pieces to 4 different hemispheres. And that's it. Oh my god. See that makes me even madder at this movie.
And I'll tell you what else makes me mad is the implication that the natives were stupid. We're dumb. We're less than creatures. We're simplistic.
Yeah.
And at this point, even in 1994, that's insulting. They know better to do that. So what you do, well, I think it's just bad story writing because don't you want to invest in those people? To treat them like human beings and write them like human beings. If they'd been able to survive, they would have a very complex community with people of experts at different levels.
I think the instant that they see the locket and they start like bowing to it, that's like Ewok levels.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, oh no. That, I mean, just it's hard to say you're disrespecting a culture that doesn't exist, but it honestly feels like that it's a rebuke against indigenous cultures everywhere, in my opinion, at least. I don't want to speak on behalf of indigenous because I'm not indigenous myself, but I've just felt skeezy watching it.
Well, I'm just going to say it. I think it implies Middle East. It is implying Middle East culture and Egyptian culture.
Perhaps.
And that's insulting. Like, that is really racially insensitive. You know what else is so cringy about this? Is that moment where the guy, the leader, stands up and goes, his cry for war, and they run down that hill. Because they had no weapons, they had sticks.
Yeah.
They knew the other guys were there to, and they're just picking them up for a while.
They could have come from the back of the pyramid and, like bum rushed them that way. People died because of their bad tactical planning.
Oh, and it had the worst cliche thing with a whole lot of people are scared. They're cowering all that, and then one corny speech, not even a good one in this movie, inspires them to become warriors. Don't you?
Today we celebrate our Independence Day.
Like it's yeah,
It's bad.
it's bad.
Hey,
But
you know
Roland
what?
Emmerich, that's his filmography.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Apparently, he really he wanted to do a sequel, and he got really mad that MGM did a TV show. Yeah, he wanted to do it like a trilogy.
Yeah.
And whenever MGM said, "No, we're going to do a TV show," he goes, "Well, I'm not going to be involved in that, and I'm not going to do any more sequels." Apparently, they wrote a book that was supposed to be based on the script, and apparently it was really bad.
Yeah.
I've never read it.
Yeah.
And I know that this is like anecdotal from decades ago, hearing about this thing, but apparently the script was really rancid.
Yeah.
So we didn't get Stargate 2, but we did get SG-1, which is a fantastic fantasy TV show with some memorable characters. They took a lot of chances on this show, and it ran for 13 seasons. I don't know. It may still be running.
Look,
again, I know it's not still running. Don't give me that look. But yeah, it's just a terrific show.
Well, it's a
great concept.
Like it is
a great concept.
Definitely built for a TV show. The idea of
I really like that they took this really cool concept and they did bring it justice in a TV show. Yeah. And not just the concept, but many other concepts. I mean, my absolute favorite early Stargate episode was the one where the team is on that planet and a black hole is there.
Yeah.
And basically the team coming back to the Stargate is basically trapped in time because of the time dilation. Yeah. And then they can't close the Stargate because of the time dilation. I love that episode. And then the episode where Teal'c and oh my gosh, I forgot his name. Not Kurt Russell. Where they're stuck in a time loop. Yeah, I laughed so hard at that episode. I just loved it.
Yeah, look, it's it lived obviously better on TV, you know.
Yes. So don't think we're hating Stargate SG-1. Just Stargate the movie.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Look, I think this is indicative of most of Roland Emmerich's films. He comes up with great concept, and it's rarely he can pull it off. You know, and he's been able to pull it off a couple of times, but a lot of times they just misfire. I've always thought if Roland Emmerich, and he can direct. This movie is edited well. It visually looks good. People are in focus. It's not just mid shots all the way through it.
People are in focus.
Yeah, like
I love how you just lowered the bar there.
Yeah.
People are in focus. Yeah. There's film in the camera. There are lights. There's little quiches on the craft service
but he gets
table.
The basics right. I mean, he's a competent director. He very much is. His visual storytelling's pretty good.
I think that we were talking during our review of 2012 that if he was given directorial reins of a Star Wars movie but not allowed to write it, it would be a fantastic movie.
That's the problem. He wants to write everything. And you know, and it's him and Dean Devlin who ended up working together for decades, didn't they? But you know, this we may not like it, but this thing made money, Jason.
It did. It made a lot of money.
It did really well. I think it made $79 million, $71 million domestically in the US, but went on and did 125 internationally, which put it just under $200 million back in 1994. That's a big hit.
It is.
That's a big hit. Yeah. So, which shocks you why they didn't go immediately into production to a sequel. Is kind of shocking. And
they read the script.
They read the script.
Like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. But, you know, I can appreciate why some people like it. At the end of the day, it might be a film where you accept all its flaws and are happy to kind of go with it. I'm okay with that idea in watching movies, but at the point where it's so slow. And it expects you not to be able to pick up on how dumb it is, the movie. That's when I'm kind of checked out.
I think that it needed more fun to it. And I think that's what the beginning of the movie, heck, I would even say up to the point that Daniel gets dragged away by that beast of burden, whatever it was. up until that point, I was fine with the movie because it was
Oh,
fun, and it just seems like it stops being fun in the middle, and it becomes this very melodramatic, cliched story that I've seen a million times before. And listen, I know a lot of people like this movie, and I can tell you right now, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong if you like this movie because I
no.
can definitely see the appeal. It's just not appealing to me. But
Yeah.
if you are getting enjoyment out of something that I did not enjoy,
Mm.
I'm very happy for you, and I hope that you continue to enjoy it for years on end because I'm not about to tell you what movies to love and what movies not to love. This is just my opinion. I like Tank Girl, and I know it's dumb as hell.
There you go. Well, in saying this, Jason, I know you probably couldn't do it now because I suppose you could, but it would take a J.J. Abrams type level event to do a complete reboot of this movie. But I'd be down for it because I do think the concept is that good. The problem is you'd have to pull off something like that because even though the series are mega successful, it's highly unlikely going to take that team into the film sphere. If you were going to do that, you'd probably do it on streaming. But if they wanted to throw $250 million at a movie at a Stargate, I'd be interested in it.
I would too, but they would have to do something drastically different with the story.
Yeah,
Keep the Egyptian theming.
yeah.
That would be fine, but
No, I'd say
the
lose
whole
that.
thing about, oh yes, white saviors coming to save a
Oh
bunch
no,
of brown people. Yay! Let's get rid of that.
get rid of the
And
whole Egyptian thing. Make the Stargate a universal thing. It's more like your opportunity to go to many different places. And, twist the concept a little bit. There's something really strong in the idea of being able to be in one point, boom, be in the other side of the galaxy within moments.
oh sure. I think that it has got lots of potential. Obviously, 10 seasons worth of Stargate SG-1 tells me that there was lots of potential
Oh,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And I don't even know how long Atlantis lasted, but
I think it was 7 or 8. I don't know. They'll tell us out
that's
there.
yeah. And then
Hopefully
there
you
was
tell us.
another one. I think it lasted one year,
Uh,
unfortunately, which a lot of people say it should have lasted longer. I'm sure it should have, but
uh,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
They'd have to do something way different with it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be the only way I'd accept James Spader back, though. Playing James Spader at his age now, kind of gone
He could be
insane.
Raw.
Yeah,
See,
make him the
play Raw
villain.
as Ultron. That
Yeah,
would be amazing.
that would be pretty good. I'm down for that. All right,
Got
well, that
no
was fun.
strings to hold me down.
You know, it was fun to be annoyed at this movie. And I do want to apologize to James. I don't want you to feel like watching that this guy sucked because we know we suck, and
Yeah,
that's
I'm
okay.
I'm
And we
comfortable with
don't
that.
agree with you in this film, but you're a great supporter of ours. And thanks for the recommendation. So, you know, what can I
Yeah.
say, Jace? Let's move on to next week.
Next
Next week,
week.
Jace,
Yes.
we are back. We are
Yeah.
back in the Superman franchise to what is generally considered one of the great sequels of the 80s, and that would be Superman 2.
Yes, the very first Superman movie I ever watched, and yeah, I've got some strong thoughts on Superman 2, and I can't wait to share them.
Yeah, yep. No, I look forward to getting back into the Superman universe. Well, according to the schedule, we're getting into some Mel Brooks territory here. It's one of my
Oh,
favorite Mel Brooks films he ever did, Young Frankenstein. So I'm
mm,
really excited about that. I'd be surprised if anybody watching this hasn't seen Young Frankenstein, but a lot of people
if
haven't
you
seen it
haven't,
for
watch it now.
years.
Uh,
Yeah, look,
I actually
we'll
just
talk
watched
about it.
that.
Yeah.
I watched that back in December. Just for the heck of it, I just watched it back in December, and then I saw you put it on the schedule. I was like, it's serendipity right there.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. That's how I'll leave it
It
at.
is.
But all right, guys. Thanks for watching. We love to
Yes.
hear what you thought about the movie. Definitely put it down in the
And
comments.
we would also love for you to become a Patreon by visiting the video in the description in the video link below. Wow, I screwed that up. Let me start over. Let's do that again. Check the video description. There's a link below. I'm still screwing it up. I don't care. I'm rolling with it. There's our Patreon. Come join us and have fun with us. Support us. We love you and we cherish you. And of course, just like today, you get to boss us around if you're a Patreon. Yeah.
But
So
just like
she's
James
fine.
has
Yes.
realized, doesn't mean we're going to agree with you. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the VHS Vault.